Welcome members to another members update. Please, as always, check the other video, which is the overall market conditions, short and long term. So let's check in with things. MGPI was one that I got into 2 weeks ago because as I said, the chart was doing that classic thing I like to do, where we had this line of support on a collision course with a rising moving average. And I got in, I was saying around about there, about $50 2 Sundays ago, which was around I think it was around this region where we got in there. Yeah, that's right. It was on the says the 10th, so around $50, and right thereafter it didn't stop moving. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. I mean, this one was perfect. I mean, if you've traded options on that, I mean, that the gains would have been phenomenal by now. I mean, on the stock alone, it hasn't stopped going up since, and the stock alone is up. Looks like I'm getting on now for 20% just by buying the stock. So options would have been absolutely on fire. That would easily double your money on that one. So where is it right now? I think I'm just going to. I mean, depends. You know, if I'd have traded options on that, which I hadn't, it's spread betting is fine. I'm going to let this one ride. Let's look at the weekly chart. I mean, it is up on that pole right there. I'm expecting it to. This is quite a steppy looking stock actually. I'm expecting this to probably pull back really to about 55. So that will be normal if it does that. I mean, having said that, there's a phenomenal gain. There'd absolutely be no harm in taking profits right there. I mean, 20% move in the stock is perfectly fine. But to ride it for the long term, it's depends on what you want to do. That's 55. I mean, one thing you can do if you're in a bit of a dilemma like that is often to take half the profits off the table, or take off what you've put in and let the rest ride on the bank's money. So that's really a personal choice. The main thing is you've got to gain and not to lose what you've got into it. But also, as a balance here, you don't want to cut the winners too early. But that 20% in a short space of time is just phenomenal. So I'm personally not going to let this go any lower than about 50. Let's say 55 though. So if I was going to let that ride, so you could take some. It's a nice gain. Leave some in. It's a personal thing. Let's look at Caterpillar. That's doing fine. Chugging along there. I was in down there, as you know, and hasn't stopped moving since. Nice gain there. I'm not going to, as long as this one I think stays above its 50-day, the blue line, I'll be happy. If it closes below that, then it's time to take profits, which again have been excellent. TTPH is on the move finally. As I said last week, it kind of pulled into the station for quite long enough, thank you, and now it's sort of chugging along upwards. I'm quite pleased about the action this week because it looks like it kind of got above, there's a resistance there about $8, and it just closed nicely above that on higher volume on Friday, so that's great. What else have we got going on here? Of course, the FXY position, yes. So this was my the one I put Make My Millionaire money behind, and it's closed out but with a profit, and it was so close that, you know, rules are rules. It closed above the 200-day on the weekly, and I said that was my get out point. So but you have to wait for the closing price, and it closed on Friday, so I can't do anything until Monday. But I'm telling you, what I'm going to do on Monday is look. That's a god-awful chart. I'll be surprised if the yen keeps going higher. But, you know, rules are rules. But having said that, come tomorrow, Monday, if it you know, looks like it's turning around and staying below on the intraday price, below the 200-day, I'm going to stay in. Because I think that's. But if it doesn't, if it doesn't, if it keeps on moving and it hovers around that area around 86, 87. Then throughout the day, then I will close it out as per the rules. Having said that, that will leave me with about what is a break-even position. I was in around here, so I had all this bounce, and it's taken me out without losing a thing. So no harm done. But the fundamentals for the yen is not good. Everything points to the yen going lower, and this is the kind of chart that it's not saying it's not possible, but for that to keep going and break out of that whole selling pattern here, you've got a lot of people who bought up here and around here waiting to just sell and pound that down again. So that's the plan for that one. I haven't lost anything, but I'm hoping to be able to just stay in that. New trades, I'm not looking at anything right now, apart from, let's just I've got some notes here. Let's Some new ones to look at. Let's see. Okay, PAM. Again, we've got that classic chart here. That one caught my eye, but it's looking a little bit toppy though. I'd like it to sort of more like down here or across there. So I might be. We'll come back to that one. It looks like at least there's a tight stop there. So we'll check that. We'll check on that one again in a second. TILE. Always look at the weekly charts first because I want to see that big picture. You can see why I'm liking this one. It's quite an orderly chart. It's got a rising moving average now, and it's right on it. And it's that's looking decent. And GBX. Similar sort of idea. As I can see, I'm looking at this chart, it closed below there. It's a little bit messy, so perhaps not. I'll look at the daily chart and see if it looks any more promising there. Again, I think aloud during these things, they're not rehearsed, so I like to give you a, my thought processes as I go through them. It's bounced off of the 200-day, pulling back. Not too orderly there. Try to get TILA, how that looks on the daily. Not bad. Certainly the weekly chart was good there. A nice entry point at least. And we're right on that 40-week right there. And there is PAM. So yeah, it looks like I've already had the bounce. That's interesting. Another one I had was SPBX. You can see that's ramping up. It's a nice level of support forming around there. Let's see how that looks on the daily. Yeah, interesting. Let's have a look at that tile again. The weekly as well. So you can see I'm just going back and forth. I'm looking for an orderly pattern. Now remember, I don't have to trade. These are, I'm not here to trade. I'm here to make money. So if they don't look, really tempting, I will just refrain from doing anything. So what I'm doing here is just, flicking around. Which has got the biggest, nicest big picture view. A lot of these are really giving, tight entry points, if nothing else, That one is quite orderly, around $18, and if it closes at, as little as 18.5, that's a very, very tight entry. If I was to go in on that one and say I'm going to close it at, it's like 18.20 even. That's such a tight stop loss. What would I have to lose with that one? And remember, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for if I lose $1 if I'm wrong, and I win $10 if I'm right scenarios. That's all I'm doing. You play that game long enough, and you will win. You will make money. I'm going to tile. Purely so there's some really, I've got plenty to look at right now, but let's get something else going on the plate. I can see a fairly steady line there around 18, which it looks like it's right on it now. So I'll try and enter actually at this point, and then the stop will be at like 18.30. Nothing really much to worry about there. I'll put that one down for entry right there. What else is going on? Not a lot really. It's just so complacent out there. Gold is also something we always like to have a look at. That's just going nowhere. It's just a very random chart. If this can turn around, the moving average starts to look up a little bit. But it just stuck in this, broad sideways pattern there. Nothing really of interest to me right there from trading point of view. Investment, I haven't sold my gold, and nor do I intend to. But that's a different thing. That's investment. It's an inflation hedge and what have you. So what else is there? There is. I looked at retail actually in the other video. It's always interesting to look at what the real economy is doing. That's XRT. The overall market I've already checked on. The VIX is obviously very low right now. We're having new highs. It's just complacency city out there. Gold miners. Alright, similar pattern to gold, understandably, not going anywhere. Silver is interesting because it's a precious metal, but it's also, there's not many industrial manufacturing processes that aren't using silver in manufacturing, everything from mirrors to semiconductors. So in a way, it's a kind of reflection, not just of precious metals, but of the manufacturing, copper included. And you can notice how it's a lot worse than gold. So maybe that's telling us a story. This isn't a sideways motion. This is a distinctively downwards motion. And on that note, let's check on what they call Dr. Copper for what the real economy is supposed to be doing. So there's a contradiction to silver there. Copper is seen as, if it's called Dr. Copper because it's like how well or sick is the economy, and that was a beautiful entry there. It's doing my classic thing there, sideways and then bouncing right off of an aggressively rising moving average. That's actually a very promising and bullish chart. So getting a lot of mixed messages right now. But the main thing is the overall market, and I'm not seeing any evidence as yet that a recession is on the horizon. The day that this closes on the weekly below that, below the 70-week line, actually will be the day I'll start it's giving us maybe a 6-month warning, but we're not there yet, plenty of money to be made in the meantime. So all systems go, and I will speak to you next week.